Hi everyone, so I'm gonna talk about the last 6 books I just read, and I'm gonna give them to you in order from my favorite to my least favorite, and even 2 that I DNF'd. Alright, let's get into it. Alright, let's start with talking about my favorite of the last 6 books I read, which was Fourth Wing. Am I a basic bee? Probably. Do I like Starbucks, T-Swift, and a fuzzy boot? You bet. I am not ashamed. I loved this book. However, I went into it thinking I would not like it, and that might have helped me like temper my expectations. And so I really did like it. It has its flaws. I rolled my eyes at some of the tropes. You know, this idea of this teeny tiny heroine whose bones easily break that's like somehow able to be like the strongest warrior. I get that it's a little bit like cringe. But did I hold my breath and cry at the threshing scene? Yes, I did. So I gave this book 4.8 stars, and I would say, yes, you should read it if you already like romantasy, or if you're thinking of getting into romantasy, because this book is kind of a good gateway drug, just like ACOTAR. And I would say no if you couldn't care less about muscly dragons. Next on the list is Check and Mate by Ali Hazelwood. I mean, how do you not love this book? I guess it's technically a YA, but aside from the fact that the characters are young adults and that the spicy scenes are not graphic, it felt like a grown-up book. I will say that Mallory is a flawed character and can definitely grate at times, which might have been more so for me because I listened to the audiobook, and I hate to throw shade, especially on females, but I find Carissa Vacker's narration to be a little bit whiny, which definitely colors how I feel about those female characters, especially. Yeah, sorry. Also, the side characters are kind of 2D and not like extremely well developed. The book is not going to blow you away with its literariness, but it did something physically to my heart, and it will definitely hit you in the feels. I would say yes, you should read it if you want a romance book that doesn't go too hard on the spice, but is definitely going to make you feel things. The next book on the list is The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins. This is a Hunger Games prequel. I enjoyed reading this book. I enjoyed it a lot, and I felt like it did enrich the Hunger Games story. It was interesting learning about the world and learning about the history and about Snow's backstory. I enjoyed the character of Lucy Gray, but I felt like she was a little bit flat. She was more used as a device, and not really like developed like I wish she could have been. And I felt like that was a little bit of a shame because she was interesting. I give this one 3.8 stars. I would say yes, you should definitely read it if you liked The Hunger Games, but definitely not if you've never read The Hunger Games or even seen the movies. And if you're interested in starting The Hunger Games, I don't think you should read this first, even though it's a prequel. I think it works best after. Next up is The Assassin's Blade by Sarah J. Maas. I might have ranked this one higher, but I've got a bit of a bone to pick again with TikTok. You guys all kept telling me to read this one first. And just like with the last book, I think that you don't always need to read the prequel first. Even Sarah J. Maas herself put it later in the order. I was really excited to read the Throne of Glass series until I read this book. I mean, even though I actually really liked the book, I mean, it was fun and it was a good time, the ending of it made me like, oh God, I don't want to read that. Like, it kind of is making me dread reading Throne of Glass. And I know that Selena is young and I'm sure she's going to grow over the series, but like, she's just a little annoying and impulsive and reckless and even like a little bit dumb at times. I'm like sitting there like, how can you not see? And so again, I'm like, this is who I'm following into Throne of Glass? Okay. So I gave it 3.4 stars. I would say, yes, read it if you've read the other books that you were supposed to read first in the series. And no, don't read it if you're thinking about reading Throne of Glass but don't know yet. Don't read this one first. All right, and next I have The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. And this one was a disappointment. And it wasn't horrible. It just was not as good as the others. I don't mind the tropes. I don't mind like the fake dating trope. In fact, it was kind of funny that the character in the book actually owns that like they're doing that trope. I don't even mind the constant reference to their size difference. She's so tiny, he's so big. Oh my gosh. Or even the extensive and detailed description of his abdominal musculature. I just found both of these characters really, really trying. He was annoying to me because he was in love with her immediately and apparently eternally after a single interaction. She's annoying because for somebody so brilliant and accomplished, her self-worth is in the gutter. And even when she's told outright that he has feelings for her, she's like, no, that he can't possibly. I mean, I'll give it a 3.2 because it is cute and it's readable and it still gave me you know, minute feels. So I guess after all of that, yes, if you love a feminist rom-com so much, you're still interested. But read Love Theoretically or check and Mate instead. Okay, and finally, Caraval by Stephanie Garber. Don't come for me. I'm sorry. I can't remember the last time that I was annoyed that I actually bothered to finish a book. I really wanted to like it. It promised solving mysteries, it promised a sinister carnival, promised romance. This book could have been set on the moon for how grounded it was in any kind of setting. The mystery was not mysterying. And the romance was ruined for me from the very beginning when she walks in and catches him, like, getting it on with her sister. Ew. And then at the end, when you learn the truth, it's like, no thanks. Like, no. Also, one of my pet peeves is when a character has, like, this one particular goal in mind and they have blinders on for the rest of the thing. And, like, dude, in this particular book, your sister straight sucks. I get that you want to save her, but she sucks. Like, can we not be so focused on that? It was very annoying. I'll give the book 2 stars for its interesting concept and scope, but I don't recommend it. And finally, for the 2 books that I DNF'd, these are not bad books. I just had trouble getting invested in them. The first one was Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. Again, it doesn't seem like it's bad. It seemed like it was kind of in love with its own convolutedness, and it made it really, really hard for me to get into it and to get invested in it. And the other book was The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. I feel like people are going to be upset with me about that one. I think the problem with this one is just the sheer amount of characters. It was really just hard to follow. The main characters seemed to fall in insta-love, which was not that exciting for me. And also, I just, maybe because I was reading the audiobook and the narrator's voice is this like old-timey man, and I was not into that. So maybe I should try it like not as an audiobook. But yeah, so that was that. All right, and that's the look. Let me know if you agree with me or have any suggestions or think I should finish those other 2, and I'll see you next time.